Do you want you or your loved one's athletic career to be cut short just by getting hit in the head too many times? Do you want to suffer lifelong effects just by playing a sport that you've loved your whole life? Well, both of these are very possible if you don't fully prepare yourself for concussions. According to concussiontreatment.com, professional football players receive 900 to 1,500 blows to the head each season. So knowing this, it's not surprising that many of them admit to suffering lingering effects even once they've retired. Now, I've played sports my whole life, and even though I haven't experienced a concussion for myself, I've seen firsthand what they can do through my best friends and different teammates, how they can affect their mind, and they're extremely dangerous. A concussion is defined as an injury to the head or the spinal cord due to a jarring from a blow, fall, or the like. After my speech, you should fully understand the different symptoms, long-term effects, and prevention methods of concussions. So what exactly are the different symptoms? Well, according to NortonHealthcare.com, there's 3 different types of symptoms. These include physical, cognitive, and emotional. The first is physical, which are the most common and the most noticeable of all the symptoms. You would notice a headache or feeling pressure inside your head. You'd also feel or see vomiting and having a feeling of nausea. And then there's also having difficulty seeing and being very sensitive to light. The next are the cognitive symptoms, which include having trouble concentrating or repeating sentences over and over. And then there's also some memory loss involved, where you can't exactly remember the event or events in the near future. And then again, there's emotional symptoms, and these are a little less noticeable, but are still extremely important. And these would be having a feeling of irritability and then being nervous even in a calm situation. So those are the different symptoms of concussions. I'm going to then go now into the long-term effects of concussions. So after you hear these and how dangerous they are, you'll know to take even the slightest symptoms very seriously. So the first long-term effect of concussions can be permanent brain damage through post-concussion syndrome. And this would lead to different diseases such as Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, and then dementia as well. And so we see that even, we know much about Parkinson's disease thanks to Muhammad Ali, who unfortunately suffers from it, from his boxing career, from receiving too many blows to the head and not being fully treated for all of those. And then next, we also have the possibility of death through second impact syndrome. And this is obviously really dangerous, and we know a lot of this thanks to sportsmd.com, which says basically that second impact syndrome is where the brain receives a second injury to the head before the first was fully healed. And when this happens, there's rapid swelling in the brain that pushes up against the brainstem and then compromises its respiratory and cardiac functions. This happens in 2 to 5 minutes, so it happens extremely fast, and it's hard to notice, and it's just really dangerous in general. So these are the long-term effects of concussions, and now I'm going to go into the prevention methods so we can hopefully avoid concussions and then reduce all of those possibilities. And so, unfortunately, there's not an exact prevention for concussions, but there are ways that we can reduce the possibility of getting them and then avoid getting the long-term effects and suffering from those. So the first that we have is having protective gear, and make sure that we wear those when we're playing, such as helmets, mouth guards, or anything like that. We need to make sure that we wear these. This is the best way that we can reduce the possibility of getting a concussion. And then the next that we have is making sure that we're fully healed before we go out and play again. And this is, again, the best way that we can prepare ourselves and avoid from any long-term effects is by just making sure that we're healthy, and those injuries are very common if we're not fully healed. And then the last prevention method that we have is making sure that we play with the right technique. And we've heard this a lot, and this is very important to know that we need to make sure that we play with the head out of the game, and that's extremely common in football and many sports like that. You can't lead in with your head or make sure you target someone else's head, because that's just going to ask for a concussion to happen. And so I've basically told you in my speech the different symptoms, the different effects, and the different prevention methods of concussions. And so I'm going to go ahead and end with this speech with telling you a quote from professional football player Mario Manningham, who once said, "It's part of the game until it's you." This is so true. Concussions are way too serious to not be prepared for and for what they can do to you. So always just be prepared for concussions, whether it's you or a loved one. Thank you.